Hello and welcome. My name is Amy. Whether you've been here before or this is your first time tuning in, thank you for being here with me. I am drinking this coffee right now. I don't know if I've talked about it much, but coffee is my favorite. I have given up so many things, and it is the one thing that I say I'm not giving it up. Yes, I add a lot of decaf and I'll do a lot of half calves. I know people think that's ridiculous sometimes, and I'm okay with that because it's like one of my favorite little rituals. If you are also a coffee drinker, tell me which one is your favorite beans or your favorite coffee shop. I would love to hear and get some ideas. Okay, so whether you're a tea or coffee drinker, you should grab one also so we can just have a little chat today. I'm going to talk about alignment. I've been thinking about this and I heard something about it on a podcast, and my name is Amy Aligned. We hear about it, but we don't necessarily know exactly what it is sometimes. There aren't a ton of conversations about what alignment is. Just know that I am sharing from my experience and my perspective of where I'm at currently. If there's one thing I've learned along the kind of personal spiritual journey, it's that a lot of our growth is seasonal, and so are the things we're focusing on within that season to help us grow. Alignment is a big focus for me right now, and also how I'm doing that looks a certain way right now that maybe it'll look different in a year or 6 months, and maybe it looked different, in the past as well. And that's okay. I honestly think if we can just kind of ride that wave and really lean into what is calling to us and what's in front of us, that is usually when we're met with a lot more of that flow. And there is no better feeling than being in the flow. What I think alignment is when everything that you believe and feel and say is lining up with the actual action. It's like your insides matching your outsides. It is being able to actually be aware of what does that look like for you on millions of topics, but do you feel that you are moving through life, moving through conversations, the actions you're taking, the ways you're spending your time, are they actually lining up with your truth? What is the most truthful and honest for you? And a part of that is actually learning that. What are your beliefs? What are your interests and hobbies? That is where some of this will look different. Who I am as a person, how I show up with integrity and honesty, that is steady. That is not the part that's going to change. But perhaps I'm needing a lot more meditation right now to find peace in my life. And before I was spending more time in nature, for example. The activities I'm actually doing to help align myself might look different depending on the season I'm in. And it's about being able to connect to that. What do I need right now? But ultimately, that deepest part of me, how I'm showing up as an honest, steady, consistent person, isn't actually changing. I am just continuing to move through the world, having experiences that allow me to discover and explore more of that part of me. Something else I just heard in a podcast that I loved is this idea that we are always connected to our higher selves because we are our higher selves. And I love thinking about that because as I'm talking about alignment, it makes me reflect. And the more we can be connected to our higher selves, the more aligned we are, essentially. That's also what I like to call my soul. That's where my intuition comes from. But when I think about this idea that I am always connected to my higher self, then it makes me think, then what has been stopping me? What are these moments when I feel totally disconnected? When I'm not feeling good vibes? When I'm not feeling great? What is happening in those moments that I'm not feeling connected to my higher self? And that is where programming comes in. And it's interesting because as I reflect on this topic and other topics I've talked about on here, I realize how often you really need to apply the same approach, the same things. And so what happens is that programming, and when I say that, it's like the beliefs and the ideas and the conditioning that we have experienced as humans in this lifetime and others that we've carried along with us. We pick up the energies of the people, places, experience, opinions around us, and that creates ideas, and it's almost like it layers upon us, blocking us from our higher selves. I think kids look so happy and free and light because they're not programmed yet. They don't have those things blocking them. As we move through life and as time goes by, we have more and more of that. Now, as adults, we have the opportunity to actually sift through that and say, oh, that actually isn't working for me. Let me remove that. Let me remove this. And this allows us to have more openness and be connected to our higher selves, which is always there. Something else about being in alignment is, how do you feel? Knowing how you feel is so important, and knowing when your energy is really in that flow. I remember years ago when I was first connecting, I was in my car driving to work, listening to music, and I felt so good. I just felt so alive, so connected. And I thought, why can't I always feel this way? Like, really just consciously reflecting on the fact that I feel so great right now and I don't always feel that good. What happens? That's where being conscious of like seeking outside of ourselves for things to make us feel better is very normal. But to actually maintain, we have to become aware of the things that shift us in and out of that. And when we are in it, that moment I'm describing, I was in such alignment. I wasn't thinking about anything else. I was on my way to work. I wasn't mad about being on my way to work. I wasn't thinking about anything like that. My energy, my vibe I was putting out was in alignment with my higher self, feeling good, being present, listening to great music. That is what is so important. The more we start to understand our vibe, our energy, what we're putting out, and also how we respond to the people around us, this plays such a huge role in our alignment. Let's say you are just feeling so good, you have done all these great things for yourself, you've been productive, you've taken care of whatever it is, and you go and you meet a friend for dinner, and your friend is in a really funky mood and just complaining a lot, and you leave there feeling bad, really bad. And you start to, maybe some of your behaviors come up that you don't love. Your energy and vibe have been completely influenced by somebody else's energy and vibe. And that is where protecting ourselves and setting boundaries is so important. It can even be you and your friend go to dinner and you have a great conversation, but the energy around you of everybody else in there feels so off that it becomes kind of like a heaviness on you. These things are going to happen. We can't control other people's energy, but it's about us being mindful of what our energy is and how we feel in situations and preparing ourselves. All right, I don't do well in busy settings, but there are times when I have to go to places where there are a lot of people. So really being conscious of that going into it, knowing what I need to do to prepare myself that day, knowing that when I leave, I need to like clear my energy. I need to really check in with myself and see how I'm feeling. This is how I am able to actually stay in alignment. And the more I become aware and conscious of this and take that action to protect myself, to make it a priority, not just when I feel like it, but understanding how much this dictates everything else that happens in my life, including manifesting, including what is coming to us, it becomes easier. You don't have to be so conscious of it. You're rewiring these habits and behaviors as you become aware of it. And just like it's so easy for you to go through the motions when you're not conscious of it, in time, that becomes your new normal. I also want to touch on really fast this idea of this affecting our manifesting. We are like magnets. What we are putting out is what we are getting back. Think of it like a boomerang. If we are totally unaware of our energy and we're saying, oh, this other person always has such bad energy, they put me in such a bad mood, that is not the other person's fault. That is us as individuals not being conscious enough and protecting ourselves and taking the necessary steps to actually protect ourselves and not allow that to happen. If you're never doing that, then imagine why you are having experiences you're having. Because if you're so unaware of the energy that is going out and how it's being affected by everything around you, then you're probably not aware of how much that's also bringing back to you that same energy. So I think one of the hardest parts of taking responsibility is when we're not technically doing anything wrong. Maybe you don't have bad energy generally and you're not the one putting that out. But that doesn't mean that you don't have a responsibility in protecting yourself and maintaining a certain level of energy. Even if everybody around you is really negative and it isn't you, you still have a responsibility for yourself to take care of you and your energy. That is what keeps you in alignment. And the more that you can maintain that through everything in life, and I don't mean it as if it has to be this hard thing that you're constantly thinking about, but I just mean every experience you have is bringing you into or out of alignment because it's connected to your energy and your vibe. When you stub your toe, when you don't have creamer for your coffee, when your coffee isn't hot enough, any of these things. If the water in your shower gets cold, all of these moments, even with yourself alone, affect your alignment. And it's about recognizing how you are responding, how you are reacting, meaning emotionally, physically, spiritually, energetically. This is dictating your alignment. That is why it's a journey. I love the phrase progress, not perfection, because it is about the journey. We're not getting to a certain place. There is no bar that we're trying to meet. It's just about that growth. It's about showing up, and it's about kind of like untangling that programming and what isn't us, removing it. It's so much less about what you have to actually do and so much more about what you need to just undo a little bit. I have really enjoyed talking about this one today. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I would love to talk about this some more if this is something you're interested in also. If you got anything out of this, please consider subscribing or giving me a thumbs up. And I look forward to talking to you next time. Bye.